Recently, xAI has launched Grok 4, which is marketed as the leading AI model which crushes almost all measurable benchmarks. Elon Musk himself has been shilling it like it's the best thing since sliced bread.
That Grok 4, if given like the SAT, would get perfect SATs every time.
So in this video, we're going to build 2 AI agent workflows with Grok 4, applied to real-life use cases, and see how they measure up. The first workflow would test how good Grok 4 is as an investment analyst given a specific portfolio of stocks. In the second workflow, we ask Grok 4 to be our customer support AI agent, answering customer queries based on the product information from a preloaded document. So, let's get right into it. So going into the n8n workflow here, this is what the first workflow is going to look like that we want to build. The trigger node for the entire workflow is a schedule trigger. So this is going to be activated by a specific time of every day. This is going to activate the Grok 4 Stock Analyst AI agent. And what it does is you can see the connected chat model here is the Grok 4 from xAI. Every day, the purpose of the AI agent is to leverage the Perplexity node to do research onto the latest stock market news, but not just any news. It's supposed to do research based on the news that are affecting the stock holdings portfolio that you have. So there's a Google Sheet connected to the AI agent, which looks like this, just a list of stock that you're currently holding. And of course you can, and I'll share the full template of the Google Sheet in the description as a free template of this build. It shows the open price, or rather the purchase price of the stocks that you have, and so on and so forth. And of course, you can just amend the sheet as you go. If you purchase a new stock, sell a portion or all particular stock, you can just take it away from the list, right? What we want this workflow to do is for Grok 4 to be able to dynamically look at the stock holding portfolio and know what kind of stock market news that is supposed to research with Perplexity node. And of course, all of that analysis will be sent to a Gmail. And again, this could be Telegram or output of your choice. But in this case, because it's typically going to be quite lengthy, I want it to be sent to my Gmail. So that's the entire workflow, and we're going to start building it right here. So the first trigger node that you want to choose is the schedule trigger. In this case, we're going to choose early in the morning, let's say 10 a.m. my time, and that's the schedule trigger. Let's run that so it's populated. Okay, cool. And then the second node that you want to hit is the AI agent node. And in this case, I'm just going to rename it Grok 4 Stock Analyst Agent. Okay, you want to choose define below, and the prompt of the user message, we want this to be a fixed message because it's not going to change from time to time. It's just going to stay the same. This is a prompt that I want to give to Grok as a stock analyst agent. Please research the latest stock market news in the last 24 hours using the Perplexity tool and refer to the Google Sheet tool attached name stock holdings portfolio for the list of stock that I'm currently holding, and tell me how the news affected my portfolio. Also suggest some buy or sell recommendations based on the news and outlook. I believe this should be pretty useful for us. So in this case, let's connect a chat model, and okay, we're going to choose Grok here. And of course, I already have an xAI account connected, but I'm just going to connect a new one just to show you guys how it's done, right? So what you want to do is you want to go to XAI API, x.ai/API, and click on now available. And when you're here, what you want to do is you want to go to API keys and just log in. And if you're not signed up, you can always just sign up with your Google account. It's pretty easy. Okay, just accept the terms. All right, so for the first time that you're logging in, you're going to see this page where it's going to ask you to buy some credits. And of course, to be able to use the API, the Grok 4 API, you need to get some credits. And you just have to top up, I think the minimum is $5. So you can you can do a guest checkout, you can add your billing credentials, etc., and get $5 to get started, right? So once that's done, you're going to want to hit the create an API key. And you could do a n8n-API key and name it that. Add a demo, right? And click save. Okay, so this is basically the API key. Just make sure that you copy that because it's going to go away once you leave the page. And then you can, and then go back to your workflow and just paste the API key in here. I'm going to put, say, account demo as the name of the credentials and click on save. All right, so now that's tested successfully. Great. Just can go back. So click on that one. And from the choice of models, you want to be clicking on Grok 4. Okay, so once you've picked that, go back to the Grok 4 AI agent user prompt. And on the user prompt, you want to say, you want to have a fixed message because this is a message that's not going to change on a day-to-day basis. It's going to stay the same every day, which is as a stock analyst agent, please research the latest stock market news in the last 24 hours using Perplexity tool. We're going to attach a Perplexity tool later together with a Google Sheet. And we have a certain name for it so that it knows, look at the list of what I'm currently holding and how the news affect that list, right? And under the system message, you want to give it a little bit more granular detail as well. And this is kind of the system message just to prompt it. You're a market research assistant responsible for generating concise yet insightful daily stock market intelligence briefing. And tool, perplexity tool. Okay, so from there, you want to add a simple memory just in case. And for this, you can just use the workflow session ID, just drag that in. And for tools, there are two tools that we're going to attach here. So the first one is the perplexity research tool. For those of you who haven't had a perplexity account set up or connected to n8n, I've covered that in my previous video, so I'm just going to link it up here for you guys to check out. Once it's connected, you want to choose the Sonar Pro. Of course, you can choose the others as well, but Sonar Pro works very well for me. Under the user prompt or the user text, so what we want to do is just let Grok define what the question is and how to use perplexity. But one last thing that I want to add before I move on is the recency filter. And under search recency, we want to put day. The reason for this is, remember, we're asking for the latest news in the past 24 hours. So we want to make sure that Perplexity as a tool also know that there should be a recency filter, which is within the day of the news, right? So just to have that in place. And of course, the second tool that we want to append to the Grok 4 Stock Analyst agent is the Google Sheet. And just pick the right account. For those of you who haven't had Google Sheet account or Google account connected to n8n, I've also covered that in another video, and I'll link it up here also in the description for you guys to check out. But once you're connected, just pick the right list, which is in this case stock holdings template sheet, and which is this sheet right here. And of course, just choose the right sheet, which is, it only has one sheet, so sheet 1. So just before we move on, we should rename this stock holdings portfolio, because that's the name of the tool that we told Grok that for it to refer to for the list of stock portfolio that we're holding, right? And so just before we build the last node, let's do a trial run. All right, so you can see it's activating the Grok 4 chat model. So it's thinking. So you can see it's calling the perplexity tool after checking the stock holdings portfolio list, just to make sure that it's researching the right and relevant news to our current stock holdings. Okay, so that took about 2 to 3 minutes to get done. So you can see it's actually really doing the thinking and the research and the processing in the back end before actually spitting out this whole chunk of information here. So it's very tough to see from the output layer here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to send it to my email, because that's like the easiest way for me, and that's the preferred way for me to get some of these information as well. So we're going to do a send message to Gmail. And in this case, I'm going to send it to my Gmail here. Stock updates will be the subject, email type text, and the message itself. I'm going to drag the output in, and I'm going to hit execute step. And there you go. So let me just refresh my inbox. There we go. Stock updates. All right. Use impact recommendations. So current stock holdings. So let's see. So to give you an idea, this was the list that we've given Grok of the stocks that we're currently holding. As you can see, there's a couple of technology stocks here with some American Airlines, Goldman Sachs, and some ETFs here. So let's see what the updates say. So it's actually splitting the stocks into these categories: individual stocks, AMD, Alphabet, which is Google, and the ETFs. And it gives me a portfolio snapshot, key themes, latest stock market news the last 24 hours, and impact on your portfolio. And it actually tells you what it did with Perplexity. So it uses Perplexity to ask this question: and overall market tone mixed by the resilient, how this news affect your portfolio. So, and then the buy sell recommendations as well, right? So it's giving me a lot of information. So one of the things that probably you want to do to kind of streamline this, and if you're going to apply this in real life, would be to just have maybe a summary agent in between, right? All this chunk. So that could be either an OpenAI model or whatever model, or maybe even another Grok, right? So you can do another AI agent, which has also Grok to summarize what you need, right? So in this case, just get to find below, just output. Let's do system message of you are a helpful summary assistant. Summarize the information received from user and output easily readable email format of the, okay. You could probably do a better job with the assistant prompt there, but you know, I'm just doing it on the fly here. So just connect it to Grok 4 again. Okay. So let's execute the workflow again. And we'll see this time it's still doing the same thing. It's referring to our stock holdings portfolio. Going to Perplexity to get the research news. Just rename this as summary agent. It's hitting the summary agent and kicking it out to my email. So let's see. Refresh that. All right. So yeah, much more readable in this case, a shorter chunk of information, just focusing on the most relevant, most important news. It's the same thing. You still have my current portfolio snapshot, the latest market news and the impact on my portfolio, and the insights in terms of buy suggestions or sell suggestions and long-term strategy here. So pretty useful to me, in my opinion, so far. Grok 4 seems to be working well when it comes to investment analysts. So let's see how it's stacking up as a customer support agent in our second workflow. The workflow that we're trying to build. We're getting the Telegram trigger as a message into Grok 4, which acts as a customer support agent. And what it does is it's supposed to refer to a Google Docs that contains the policies, and I'll show you the Google Docs here. It's a fictitious company called Ali Sneakers, which is a sneaker shop, and it has some refund and return policies for the sneakers that are being sold. So there's some specific timelines, policies, like for any items on sale and clearance, refund policies are not eligible, and there's a couple of other things here in terms of inspection and shipping and stuff like that. So we're going to try to ask Grok 4 to see how accurate it is in terms of retrieving information that are available within these documents. But beyond that, we'll also start asking it some ambiguous questions to see how it can handle customer queries that are not necessarily relevant or the answers to which are not necessarily available within the document here. So cool. All right, let's start building the workflow. Right, so on the first trigger node that you want to introduce here is a Telegram trigger. Right, so this is going to be an on-message trigger. So I've already got my Telegram credential connected, and if you don't know how to do this, I've got another video that covers this, so I'm just going to link that and also within the description below, but it's going to be trigger on message. So I already have my Telegram set up here, but I'm going to set up a new one just to show you guys how it's done. So go to your Telegram app and go to Botfather. So just type in on the search bar Botfather and make sure that it's the one with the blue tick, and I'll click on start. So this is the place where you would create new bots within Telegram, and these bots are responsible for listening to chats and being able to communicate with your customers or anybody that are within Telegram, right? So I'm gonna click on create new bot. So this would be Grok CS. So Ali support, let's call it that. All right, so same name. I'm gonna take that. I'm gonna add the word bot. All right, so that bot's been created. Now I'm gonna take this API key. I'm gonna go back to my n8n workflow and finish setting up the credentials by just pasting that API key here and click save. Okay, so I'm just gonna rename this so that it's easy for me to identify, and then I'm gonna save that. Cool. All right, so that triggers on message. Let's just try to execute step. So it's listening for a trigger event. So I'm going back to Telegram, and I am clicking on the support bot chat so that I can chat with the bot. And there we go. So I have a /start for the bot, and then going back, so you can see I'm receiving now the /start here. Cool. All right. So Telegram trigger is done. I'm going to set up the AI agent. In this case, connected to the chat trigger, but I'm just going to define below here, just to make sure that I'm passing on the right output. So okay, /start, so the prompt from the user message. And for the chat model, of course, we're going to connect that to Grok 4. We've already had our credential connected earlier, so we don't need to do that again. All right, so memory, I'm going to do a simple memory and define below. So context window, I want it to be slightly longer because, you know, people may chat to and fro. ID, I want to grab from the Telegram ID as a session ID because this is going to be the ID that the simple memory is going to take, and it's going to remember the conversations it has with the user, right? So simple memory done. So here in the tool, I wanted to connect to a Google Docs tool. All right, so document operation will be to get, because we want to get information from that particular Google Docs. And in this case, the doc ID or URL, I'm going to take this document here and I'm going to paste it here. All right, so leave it as that. All right, so we're going to execute step. Okay, so it's not really interacting with the Google Docs tool because I'm just going to change this Google Docs name to policy. It's not interacting with it because the chat trigger didn't ask any questions relating to the policy and stuff like that. So, but we just want to make sure that the variables are populated, right? So I just remember now that we actually didn't give it any system message. So it's probably good practice too. So what I'm doing is I'm just telling it that it's a customer support agent bot for a sneaker shop called Ali Sneakers. The job is to answer any customer support queries relating to product policies found in the Google Doc called policy. Use the Google Doc tool to refer to the latest policy to give customers the most updated information. The answers to the questions are not available, not relevant. Try to handle it as best as you can without making up facts. So in terms of fetching information from a particular sheet, a particular document, even from like a vector database such as Supabase or Pinecone Vector, OpenAI and the other LLMs actually did quite well. So what I'm interested to find out with Grok 4 is really how it's going to handle those ambiguous, irrelevant questions that a lot of customers are prone to ask, right? So it may not be covered within the policy document, but we want to see what kind of response that it's going to output to us. And of course, I'm giving it a fallback, which is can't answer any questions. You could pass the inquiry to a human customer agent here. So, all right. The last bit is to pass the response back to the Telegram node, which is in this case, send a text message to Telegram n8n, send a message and chat ID. We want to drag the chat ID from here and drag it in here. So to make sure that it's responding to the right chat within Telegram, right? And the text itself is going to be what's being outputted by Grok 4. And I'm just gonna do a no reply markup and toggle off the append n8n attribution so that it doesn't show that this workflow is automated by n8n and stuff like that, right? Okay, cool. So let's just execute step to see if. So there you go. It says, hi, welcome to Ali Sneakers customer support. How can I help you with sneakers needs today? What are product orders, policies? I'm here to assist. Great. All right, so now let's try to give it a run and see how well it does as a customer support agent. Let me just change this to Grok 4 customer support agent. Okay. On save. Okay, so we're gonna click on execute workflow. That's just waiting for the event trigger. All right, let's ask it something easy. So if we look at the documentation here, or rather the policy document that we've attached, let's ask it something specific, right? Let's say, for example, let's ask it about the time frame of the refund policy or the return policy. All right, so let's get back to Telegram. What is the time frame for your return and refund policy? All right, let's do that. And let's check out what's happening on the workflow. And so you can see the Telegram message is hitting the AI agent, the Grok 4 AI agent, and it's thinking a little bit. Gotta say, it takes a little bit longer than the typical OpenAI agent. As you can see, it taps into the policy document to check for the most updated information before returning it to Telegram. Let's see what it says. So thanks for your question about a return policy. You can request a return within 30 days. Okay, it's got the 30 days. There's also through this little nugget in there, which is the 7 days, which we see that is correct in the document, right? With regards to the shipping. So it seems to be fetching the information quite well. So yeah, that is on par with the other models that we've used as a customer support agent before. So let's just try to ask it something more ambiguous and see how it handles that. For example, we're going to ask it to infer what happens to any defects that I found in the shoes, okay? So let's go back to the workflow, execute workflow. So that it's waiting for event trigger. Okay. So I've recently purchased a pair of Nikes and I found some defects on them. What can I do? Okay. So let's ask it that and bring back to the workflow. Same thing, it's doing a bit of thinking, grabbing the policy document, cross-referencing and kicking it back out to us. So within Telegram, well, that's a pretty lengthy one. So I'm sorry to hear about your defects. All right, check eligibility. If defects are manufacturing related, not normal wear and tear, we'll cover within the last 90 days. Let's see if that's actually in the document, because I don't know if. All right, there is a defect warranty, which is 90 days. Okay, what else does it say? It says if it's manufacturing related, which is correct. So step 1 tells me to check my eligibility. And step 2, what I can do is to file a defect warranty claim. So let's check out what the document says about that. Warranty claim, right? Or maybe under defects, right? So it's original item. All right, so under warranty and defect claims, manufacturer warranty, defect claim process. Okay, let's see if it's giving me the right. So 5 business days, correct. Right to the support alley sneakers. Support alley sneakers. All right, so it's a pretty good step-by-step process on how to file the claims and what to expect in terms of processing times. I think I saw the 5 to 7 days as well earlier. So that's all correct and accurate. But yeah, but I just kind of like how detailed it is in terms of just inferencing what I can do from just a one-liner like that, right? So I think it's pretty detailed, pretty good. Is it better than the current OpenAI model? I think so, at least as far as this use case is concerned. Pretty happy with kind of the output. Maybe the only thing that I'll change is, of course, in terms of the prompt engineering, just want to make sure that it sounds a little bit better and that it's more concise and it's not too lengthy like this, because I think customers would probably not want to read through all these texts, right? So far, pretty satisfied with how Grok 4 is. I think Elon Musk and the team at Grok 4 is definitely onto something. And it's also interesting to see how it could plug into n8n quite seamlessly. So hopefully, we're going to see a lot more interesting developments from the team in terms of video generation, voice, and stuff like that. But so far, pretty happy with what I'm seeing. So if you want to try Grok 4 and try to incorporate it in your workflow or in any use cases, go ahead and give it a shot. And of course, if you're facing difficulties in any part of the build, whether that's the first workflow, the second workflow, or if you think that there are any other use cases that you'd like to see Grok 4 being applied to within n8n, let me know, comment down below. If you liked the content that I'm putting out, please consider subscribing, it'll help me out a lot. And I'll see you in the next one.